version 3.4. Before we get started, the phone lines have been muted to eliminate background noise. So in the case that you have a question or comment during today's webinar, please go ahead and type that into the question window of the GoToWebinar panel. I'll be happy to answer your questions at the end of today's webinar if I don't answer it during in the course of today's webinar. We do have ample amount of time set up for me to go through all of your questions, so please go ahead and type them into the question window. Happy to answer those for you at the end of today's webinar. My name is Dickinson Marin. I am a product manager here at QQ Solutions and licensed insurance agent, and I'm very excited to talk to you guys about the new features and enhancements in QQCatalyst version 3.4. First, you have new policy details. Policy details have been created for flood personal, flood commercial, excess flood personal, excess flood commercial, commercial inland marine, contractors, equipment floater, and personal inland marine. So you guys have several new policy details. I'm going to show you how those policy details look and how you can get the information in there and the corresponding accord forms that we can map the coverage information to. You also have a default email signature for each of your employee contacts. I'm going to show you how you can set up the email signature, so whenever you're going to be sending an email through the quick email window, you'll have your signature automatically populated for you, and you don't have to continue to build it each time. You also have the ability now to email multiple certificates at one time. For those of you who do large commercial, you have customers with over 200 certificate holders, and at renewal, you want to send the blast to all of them at the same time, including your customer. You'll now have that capability. I'm going to show you how easy it is for you to send multiple certificates of insurance at the same time, which is going to save you a tremendous amount of time. We've also eliminated the task workflow and replaced it with a task pop-up. That's going to allow you to easily create and access tasks without having to leave the page that you're on. We've also redesigned the task widget to show you more information and to give you more functionality, including filtering by the date, by the due date, the status, and then easily marking tasks off as completed. You can also now quick view policy details. For those of you who insure customers with multiple homes, or they have multiple commercial auto policies or multiple personal auto policies, or even those of you that insure large commercial customers with multiple premises insured, you can now view which policy a specific address is listed on without having to drill down into each policy. And I'll show you guys how to use this feature as well. Now again, we're going to have a Q&A session at the end of today's webinar, so for any questions that you have, please go ahead and type those into the question window of the GoToWebinar panel. I'll be happy to answer those questions for you at the end of today's webinar, but I'll also show you the contact information for our training classes as well as our product support team and how you can submit feedback and requests and even report bugs to QQ Solutions. All right, let's first start off with the changes that we've made to the task. As you can see here, the task widget has been completely redesigned. To start off, whenever you have a task that's past due, you will now see that task in red. You'll not only see the subject in red, but you'll also see the due date as well as the status for you to know whether or not you started the task yet or not. You'll also be able to now see the customer. That was one of the biggest requests that we've gotten from our agents was, how do I know which customer this task is related to? If you click on the customer link here, we'll take you directly to that customer contact. However, if you just want to see the details of the task, you can click now on the subject and the task will open up for you directly on the screen that you're on, so you no longer need to leave your dashboard to view your task. We've made a lot of improvements to the task pop-up as well in order to allow you to have more, at least logic for what you're doing. In this case here, there's a start date and a due date. In the case that you change the status from not started to completed, we automatically know that it's 100% complete, so we'll fill that in for you. And if the status is listed as completed and you change that to less than 100%, we'll bring it back to in progress. You'll be able to assign multiple employees to a task. You can remove yourself from a task as well. And if there are any policies on that customer contact, you'll be able to associate policies to that task. You still have the ability to set reminders. And we've changed this to allow you to search for any contact within the widget. So it doesn't matter if it's a customer, a carrier, a cert holder, a lien holder, a finance company, or employee. In this pop-up, you'll be able to add anyone under the assigned to for the assigned to contact. So you no longer have to worry about going through that two-step workflow. Now, in the case that a task is marked off as high priority, you will see this symbol here to show you that it's a high priority task. Now, what if there are more tasks than can be displayed inside the widget? You can always click on show more tasks, and you can scroll through all the other tasks. Now, again, the ones that are in red are the ones that are past due. Now, what if I completed one of these tasks and I want to mark it off as completed without having to open the task itself? This green arrow on the right-hand side, if the task is completed, simply click on it, and we're going to mark that task off as completed and move the rest of the task up in the order. Okay. So you no longer have to click on the actual task and open up the task itself in order to mark a task off as completed. We've also added the functionality to allow you that in the case that you mark a task off as completed and it was a mistake, you can click here to undo, and it will bring that task back into your widget as a task that you need to finish. We've also added additional settings in your pinwheel here. If you click on your pinwheel setting, you can only view tasks that are assigned to you. That was already there. However, you can elect to only view tasks that are not completed. You can elect to view completed tasks, or you can elect to view all. Anything that has been completed will be striked through. So you will see tasks that are completed. Let me just show you what this looks like. Anything that has a strike through has been completed already. But for the majority of you, you're going to have this specifically for your non-completed task, and you can elect to choose a date range for your task. Now, for those of you who only want to take care of the ones that are past due, don't forget that all of those will show up top. Anything that's past due is always going to be up top and in red. And you'll also be able to click to maximize the widget to view details of each task. So if you'd like to see what's already been done or what notes have been put on the account, you'll see here, is the customer ready to buy? And last we spoke, our quote beat the competition by $200. So you'll be able to view all the information for every single task inside your widget now. You can do this directly from the dashboard. And for those of you with multiple monitors, you can simply right-click and open either in a new tab or in a new window, so you can have something open on the other monitor while you're just going through your task and marking them off as complete. By the way, if you have a task that has a reminder on it, you'll also see a little bell. You'll see the reminder bell listed right underneath your check mark, and you'll see the date and time that the reminder is set for that widget, or at least for that task. A couple of other changes that we've made on the dashboard is now you can see the total on your active premium widget as well as your active policies widget. So based on what you have selected in the filters, you'll see these three columns here totaled up for you, so you no longer have to do that math yourself. All right, let's talk about the quick view of policy details. Prior to the 3.4 release, if you had a customer with multiple homeowners policies, multiple dwelling fire or condo, or even auto policies, you would have to go into each policy individually to see where, which vehicle is insured on each policy or which premises is insured on each policy. Well, now when you go to the Policies tab, you're going to see the View By drop-down. By default, you're always going to view the policy list for your customer. However, you can view all the drivers insured on active policies or all the locations insured on active policies. You'll see the street address, the city, the state, the zip code, the line of business, the writing carrier, and the policy number for each location. And if you click on that location, it will take you to that policy. The same thing goes for vehicles. If you have multiple vehicles insured on multiple policies, you'll be able to view which policy each vehicle is insured on and click to go to that policy. One of the other changes we've made is the email signature. Now, in order to set this up for yourself or for your employee contacts, you're simply going to search for that employee. Let me search for myself. And for each employee contact, you're going to see a new section. Under the user preferences, you're going to see email signature. Okay? Now, you have the signatures that you can import into your Accord forms and your templates. But this is going to be specifically for when you're sending an email using our Quick Send email window. Okay? Now, how is it that you're going to get this information in here? You're going to click Edit. Now, this is an HTML editor, so don't forget that when you're typing in here, if you click Enter, or if you hit Enter on your keyboard, that's going to be a double space, and Shift and Enter is a single space. Okay? You can go ahead and select your font, type in whatever your email signature is. Now, don't leave a space from the top line going down, because automatically we leave a space for you when the email window opens, so don't leave a space. You want to start on the very first line. And the way that you can get your logo in here, if the logo for your agency is in your location preferences, all you have to do is click on Insert Logo, and we'll insert the logo for you. We'll go to your location preferences and grab the logo for you, and we are going to be using the low resolution logo. If it's not in the low resolution, we'll go grab it from the high resolution. Okay? So you can click on Insert Logo, and if there's an actual signature that you'd like in there, you can always click on Insert Signature, and you can choose a signature to go along with your email signature. Once you do that, and you click to send an email, and I'm going to hover over Print Email and select Quick Send, you'll see by default your email signature is already there, and you can just begin to type. Now, what about the emailing multiple certificates of insurance at the same time? We've actually made several changes to make this easy for all of our customers. The first change we've made is on our certificate holder and lien holder contacts. Now, I'm going to pull up here the city of Miami. That's my certificate holder contact. The first change we've made is we've added a new email type in those certificate holder and lien holder contacts. If you click Edit, you now have an Accord email address type. Why is that important? Because whenever we're getting ready to send a certificate of insurance or an evidence of insurance form to this holder, we're going to look to see whether or not you have an Accord email address marked off as primary. If you have one marked off as primary, we'll automatically import that into your form, and we'll import it into the quick email window. Okay? Now, if you have multiple Accord emails and none of them are marked off as primary, we're going to grab all of the Accord email addresses and put them into the quick email window. Okay? So this is a way for you to put on all your certificate holder and lien holder contacts where we should email certificates of insurance. So you can add as many Accord emails as you want, but if you'd like all of them selected each time, don't mark them off as primary. Okay? So have anything else as marked off as a primary, and make sure you don't mark it off, and we'll bring in all of the ones listed with the Accord email tag into your quick email window. The second thing we've done to make this very easy is we've added an Accord description to certificate holder and lien holder contact. So if you have a contact that always has to have the same verbiage on their certificate of insurance, you can now type that into this section, or you can copy and paste it, and whenever we import them into a certificate, the description will come along with them. So now, how would I send a certificate of insurance to multiple holders at the same time? Let me go ahead and go to one of my contacts, and I'm going to walk through creating the certificate of insurance and emailing it to multiple holders at the same time. So I'm here on Family Fresh Supermarket. Let's add an Accord form. You can associate it to a policy or to the customer alone. I'm going to associate it to my general liability policy. Now, don't forget on the policy selection screen, by default, we're going to have the policy that you're on, but you can always add additional policies to it. That's your workers' comp, your commercial auto, your umbrella. Okay, let me go ahead and get some policies in here. Well, my GL's already there. Let's get my commercial auto, my umbrella, and my workers' comp in there. Now again, one of the reasons why we allowed you to do this policy selection is there are times where you have to issue a certificate of insurance on an expiring term or on a term that's already expired. That's the reason why we give you the option of choosing which policies go on this specific form. So all the policy and coverage information is going to be mapped for me automatically. All I need to do is click on Manage Certificate Holders. And you can go ahead and click on Add and add holders manually. You'll now notice that you have an email address field underneath the contact themselves. So you can put in an email address specifically for that contact. Now it's very important to note that that's only for this form. If you'd like for us to save it on the contact, add it on the contact first and import them into the form instead of adding it just to the form. So I'm going to select to import holders. And don't forget that you can import certificate holder contacts. You can import lien holder contacts. You can import additional interest on any of the policies associated with the form, and any previously issued Accord 25 for that customer are going to show up in this list for you to choose from as well. So at the time of policy renewal, you don't have to manually try to find each holder. Just click on the master form from the expiring term and then select all holders to bring in. Now in this case, I want to show you how we're going to bring in those holder contact Accord emails and their descriptions. So I'm just going to look for a couple of them here. These are the ones that I've added the certificate of insurance, description of operations, and the email addresses to. So I'm just going to show you how that information is going to be pre-populated for you. And I have one more here, the City of Miami. Here, the description of operation comes with each holder as well as their email address. Now, you can add additional email addresses. Make sure you separate those by comma or semicolon. Okay? Here are all the holders, and if they had a description, the description came with them. Now, when you click OK, you'll see holder 1 of 4, and you can scroll through, make sure all your information is correct. You can import a signature into your form so you don't have to manually sign each form or even stamp them after they print. And it looks like I don't actually have a signature available to me. But in this case, I just want to send this by email. Okay? When you click email inside your certificate forms, don't forget that you still have the option of naming your form. So I can say the 14 through 15 renewal certificate. Once you do that, you're now going to get a modified pop-up than what you're used to seeing. The new pop-up is going to ask you which holders you'd like to email this form to. I'm going to select all holders. If you look at the very bottom here, we have email certificates to holders, which means we're going to email each holder their copy of that certificate of insurance, but we also give you the option of sending all the forms to your customer. All right, so you no longer have to send 2 different emails. You can send one huge email. Each individual holder will get their own, and the customer will get one PDF with, in this case, 4 pages. So I'm going to select to send it to both the holders and my customer. When you click Save, we're going to open up the quick email window. Now, the subject is going to be the same for everyone. But I also wanted to show you that now in your quick email window, you have access to your templates in your marketing section. So your template library that you built for sending emails, you now have access to it when you're sending quick emails. So in the case that you don't want to type the same thing over and over, all you have to do now is click on this little drop down here. And in this case, I have the agency library and the standard library. You can either scroll to find what you're looking for, or you can type to find it. In this case, I'm looking for a certificate email template. Once you click OK, we're going to merge the information for the merge fields, if you have them, onto the body of this email. So anything that was yellow, that's my merge field. And let me just make some quick edits here. So that's the merge field that brought in my customer's name. Now, if you include the customer in the email, the very first one you're going to see is for the customer. We're going to highlight the holder at the very top. So I can say here the 1415 renewal certificate, and I'm just going to add in here the customer name. So when the holders get it, they'll know exactly who it's for. By default, the customer's primary email address is going to be included. But if you click on the 2 here, you can include any other email address for that customer contact. Now, most of you don't use the BCC and the CC fields, so we've hidden them by default. However, if you'd like to send to the CC and the BCC fields, all you have to do is click on this plus, and you'll see those fields show up. Now, I'm looking at email number 1 of 5. As you can see, I have one large PDF here. This is the one that has the 5 or the 4 holders on it, so it's one huge PDF with 4 pages. But if you scroll through, this is showing email 1 of 5. I have email 2 of 5. This one's going specifically to 521 Industries, and their copy of the form is attached, as well as all the other holders. Now, what if you have attachments that need to go specifically to one holder, or if you have an attachment that you'd like to go to all holders? You're going to click on Add Attachment here at the bottom left of the window, and you're going to see a little modification here. You can send attachments to specifically this email or to all emails. Now in this case, I have a waiver of subrogation that needs to go to specific holders, and I have a blanket additional insured endorsement that needs to go to everyone. So I'm going to come over to the all emails here and select my blanket additional insured endorsement. Just in case you forget where you are, we're showing you the name of the email recipient you're on here. So this one's going to the customer, but I want to make sure they get a copy of the blanket additional insured endorsement. And I'm going to go to email 2, and I'm sending this over to 521 Industries. I have nothing to send them specifically, but the city of Deerfield Beach, click on Add Attachment, and I do have a waiver of subrogation, but it's not going to go to all emails. It's going specifically to this holder. And then I have City of Hollywood. I do have one for them as well. Actually, no, I don't have one for them. I think I have one for the City of Miami. And here's the one for the City of Miami. So now if you look at the attachments, my City of Miami holder is going to get their certificate, the blanket additional insured endorsement, and their waiver of subrogation. When you're ready to send, by the way, they're all coming from one email address that's listed inside this drop-down, and this drop-down, again, has all of your emails that you have permissions to. So if you don't see anything in this drop-down, have your agency administrator grant you permissions to send from an email address within Catalyst, and then click Send. Now, in this case, I have a holder that did not have an email address on the contact themselves, and there was no email address on the form. So now it's going to ask me for validation. Give me the email address that we should be sending this to. Okay. I'm going to enter my email address. Now don't forget, if you do this on this form or on this window, it's not going to save on the contact. So make sure, in the case that this happens, that you go back to your contact and add the email address. Now, if we're sending a bulk job for you, let's just say you have 400 holders, we're going to show you that we're scheduling to send those emails and it started successfully. And as soon as we're done sending all the emails, you're going to get another notification, just like we just got here, that the process has completed successfully. The master form remains in your Accord Form tab, but if you go to the Files tab, we're going to attach each individual email as its own file. So you'll see the one that went to the customer, and you'll see all the individual ones that went to each holder. We're also going to put in the log one huge activity that shows you every single person that the certificates of insurance were sent to during that email blast. So you'll also be able to go into the log and view all the people that the email went to. So here's the email that was sent with the subject, and if you click on more here, you'll see everyone that that certificate of insurance went to, including whatever attachments went along with them. And that's how you're going to be emailing multiple certificates of insurance at the same time. This works for any one of the forms that has the Manage Certificate Holder pop-up window. So this will also work with your Evidence of Insurance form, your Accord 27, and the new form that we added for the flood policies, Accord Form 29. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these new policy details. For those of you that do commercial, you've been waiting for the inland marine. We have the commercial inland marine. It's the same for your contractor's equipment floater and your equipment floater policies. Now, there's my customer, my 365 Land Clearing LLC. There's my commercial inland marine policy. Now, the policy info tab remains the same, so there haven't been any changes to the policy info tab, but now you have a details tab for your inland marine policies. You can put in your basic information for your territory of operations, your type of operations, and then you have this coverage section here. This is more important for those of you that receive downloads for commercial inland marine than anything else. If you are used to filling out the Accord Form 146, you have this section for a description. However, when downloads comes through, the carrier sends all of the coverages that are on the policy in this coverage section here. So we built the section for downloads to fill this section in. Now, the carriers don't have a standardized coverage template that they follow. All of them have their own custom coverages, which is why these aren't drop-downs. They're just fields for the carrier to fill in whatever coverages are on the policy. So you'll see that information for your coverages. And then you can put in your equipment storage, how much is the max inside buildings and outside the buildings, and any kind of type of security. You'll also have your unscheduled equipment. You can add as many pieces of unscheduled equipment as you'd like. Just keep on clicking on Add Equipment, and then you'll have your scheduled equipment. Now, as you click on Add Equipment, we'll add the very next item number available to you, and you'll just put in all the information you would typically put in on your Accord form. Then you can add additional interest for each item that you're adding to your scheduled equipment. So if you want to import a holder, you can click import, or you can click on add interest and manually add your interest, and it'll be linked to anything listed in your scheduled equipment. We do have general information, by the way, and this is we're using these new lines of business as the templates for your underwriting questions. So you'll see this. We're going to populate these as well on the previous lines of business that we've done details for. But now you have underwriting questions. You can mark all as no easily or mark all as yes and answer the questions if you have any responses to them. Now, we did add support for this for your proposals and your policy summaries and your accord form, which in this case is going to be Accord Form 146. We automatically add additional supplemental forms in the case that you have a lot of pieces of equipment. We will automatically add the 146 supplemental for you to automatically pull in all those additional pieces of equipment. And by the way, that's the form that you're going to use for all three of those lines of business: commercial, inland marine, contractors, equipment floater, and equipment floater. You'll be using Accord Form 146. The information auto-populates for you. Okay? So in the case that you need to make any changes, you definitely want to make the change to the policy details and then add the Accord Form. You don't want to start from the Accord Form and try to work backwards. The next line of business that we've worked on was the flood policies. Okay? Now, I don't know if I have, actually I don't have one on here. Let me go ahead and search for, I believe I have one on Family Fresh Supermarket. Actually, no, that's a flood personal. I'll show you guys the flood personal one shortly, actually let me show you the flood personal one first here. Denise Miller. She has a flood policy and she has an excess flood policy. So you'll be able to enter the details not only for your flood, but for your excess flood as well. They're basically going to have the same exact layout. You'll start with your location schedule here. Now, the only difference that you're going to notice between your personal flood, your flood personal, and your flood commercial is on the commercial lines, the location schedule is found on the policy info tab, and on your personal lines, it's found in your details tab. Okay? So you can import locations that are on your customer contact. There's the location for me, and then you'll be able to enter your building, your contents, and all the information you can find on your elevation certificate. That way, in the case that you had the elevation certificate and you lost it at any point, you'll still have the information available in your management system, including the community number, the panel, the flood zone, whatever the county is, any additional interest, and this will map over to Accord Form both 29 and it'll map to Accord Form 27. I know that a lot of you were used to using Applied TAM, and Applied TAM didn't map to Accord Form 29. They only map to 27, but we map to both forms. So you can click to add an Accord Form. And in this case, I'm going to select Accord Form 29. Now, you're going to see a policy selection screen because remember, you can have multiple policies represented on Accord Form 29. If you only want to do the one policy, you can just click Next. But if for that location, there's not only a primary flood, but there's an excess flood as well, you can click to add the excess flood policy on there. And here's my excess flood that's attached to that customer. So now I have my primary flood and my excess flood. When you click Next, we're going to bring over just the policy information. Now, this is one of the questions I get from a lot of agents for Accord Form 27, and I'm sure I'm going to get the question for this form as well. When you get to the form, our customers ask us, Dickinson, how come you guys don't put in the location information immediately? It's because you can have one master form that has multiple premises on it. So the first thing we're going to bring over is the policy information. So you'll see the policy number, the effective and the expiration date. When you click Manage Certificate Holders and you import your holders either from the policy or you import from certificate holder or lien holder contacts or you add a holder, you're going to see this premises drop down enable itself. So let's import a couple of holders. On the policy, I have a couple of holders, so I'm going to grab this holder, and let's just say I had a couple of other holders I'd like to grab. I'm going to grab a couple of holders here from my holder contacts. Once you do that, the premises drop down is going to be available to you. Now, you may be in a state where you can only insure one location per policy, but there are people in states that can have up to 50 locations on a policy, so we give you the ability to have a master form with multiple premises on them. So all you have to do is select the premises that goes with each holder, In this case, I only have the one premises, but it belongs to each holder. Once you do that and click OK, you're going to see the location populate for you, and all the coverage for that location will be listed on all the policies. Okay. So then you can either print your certificates of insurance, your certificate of flood insurance, or if you wanted to email them, you can select to email. There's the evidence of flood insurance. Give it whatever name that you'd like. You'll get that pop-up asking you if you'd like to email it to just the customer or to the holders. In this case, I only want to send it to the customer. I'll select all. You'll see one large email, one big PDF going to the customer with all the holders. You can see attached proof of flood insurance. You can choose a template if you wanted to choose a template, but in this case, I just want to click send. And my customer just got all of their renewal evidence of insurance forms. Now, we've made some changes to your carrier downloads. We introduced logic that automatically assigned the agent and CSR based on who the agent and CSR was on the prior policy, who the agent and CSR was on the customer, and if you didn't have those, we would check what you had set in location preferences. Well, some of you still wanted the ability to assign the agent and CSR manually. So if you're in automatic mode, the system automatically takes its own action. If you're in manual mode, you're already manually assigning the agent and CSR. But we have introduced new functionality for our customers in semi-automatic mode. If you're in semi-automatic mode, you'll have an option now to select whether or not you'd like to manually assign your agent and CSR if the customer or policy doesn't already exist. So in the case that the system is getting ready to create a customer or create a policy, it'll automatically put that transaction in need matching for you to assign the agent and CSR. If the policy already exists, we're going to match the existing policy. If the customer already exists, we're going to match the existing customer. But in the case that the policy does not exist or the customer doesn't exist, you'll get the option of assigning the agent and CSR. You just have to go to location preferences and check this box off. Okay? So for those of you who are happy with the way the system automatically assigns the agent and CSR, you don't have to make any changes as of this release. That'll continue to happen. But if you're in semi-automatic mode and you'd like to select the agent and CSR, you can click here, and if the policy or the customer doesn't exist, we won't use what's in location preferences. We will automatically put it into need matching for you to assign it. Some other changes we made to carrier downloads. Some of you were getting intent to cancel transactions, and then the policy was canceled and then reinstated. But when the policy reinstated, the intent to cancel date stayed on there. We've added logic to remove the intent to cancel date when a policy is canceled or when it's reinstated. We've also added new logic to process endorsements automatically for you when the carrier sends an endorsement transaction. If the endorsement doesn't exist, and we've already looked for the effective date and the premium change, we will automatically add the endorsement for you. Same goes for your cancellations. When a cancellation comes through, if the policy cancellation comes through and it was missing the agent or CSR, the system will automatically be able to process those for you as well. And what that's going to amount to for you is a lot less transactions sitting in the need matching section. The logic is going to allow for a lot more transactions to automatically process for you. We've also made changes to the direct bill commission downloads. We had carriers that were sending us direct bill commission downloads for package policies, but they were sending the transactions like they were for a monoline. We've updated direct bill commission downloads to process those type of transactions, as well as carriers that send us a group NAIC code instead of an NAIC code per policy. We've updated direct bill commission downloads to automatically process those as well. So aside from not having the correct carrier on a policy, or the policy not existing, or policies missing a parent carrier, you're going to see a lot more direct bill commission downloads processing for you. Another line of business that we've added for you is the personal inland marine. We've had requests for personal inland marine. We've added that in for you as well. So I'm going to go to Denise Miller and select personal inland marine. Let me show you what these policy details look like. It models itself after the Accord template, and most of the carriers are following this template where you put in your location first, and then you assign which coverages are covered in your location. When you click to add a coverage, we're going to show you all of the classes you can choose from, including your furs, your guns, your golf equipment, golf carts, your fine arts, sporting equipment. Anything that you don't see here that you need to add, there is an other category, so you can manually put in whatever that category is. But all of the ones that Accord recognizes and most of the ones that the insurance companies have, we've included in this list for you. Now, after you've added your coverage information, then you can tell us specifically what the schedule of property is. So you're going to tell us that $500,000 of jewelry is being insured, but now in the schedule of property, tell us specifically what's being insured in that jewelry class. Okay? And all of this is specifically to map to your Accord forms. If there are any safe or vault information, you can go ahead and add your safe and vaults to your locations, including your additional interest. And again, you have a general information section for your underwriting questions. You can click to mark all as yes or no, or you can put in specifically if the answers are yes or no. Now, this information will be mapped over to Accord Forms 81 and Accord Forms 281. Those are the Personal Inland Marine application and the Inland Marine section. So whether it's 81 or 281, both of them have the mapping. We'll send that information over to the form automatically when you add the form. So again, you want to start with your policy details and then map to your Accord form. You don't want to start on the form. And in the case that you have more pieces of scheduled property, then the form can hold. We will automatically add supplemental pages for those additional items. By the way, for your personal inland marine policies, we do map that information to your policy summary and your policy proposals as well. So you will be able to summarize your insurance and send that over to your customer contact. Now I have several pieces of equipment here. I'm guessing that's why this one's going to take a long time. So let me go ahead and open up a new window here. By the way, one of the things that I'd like to mention to you guys, some of the people have asked, Dickinson, it's hard when you have to work on one screen. Don't forget that Catalyst is completely web-based. So while you're waiting on something to populate, you can always open up a new window and continue working on a new window or on a new tab. Another change that we've made for you is your homeowners deductibles. We now have deductibles showing up on your homeowners policies, also showing up on your renters and your condo policies. So in the case that you wanted to see your deductible now, and you can enter those manually, and downloads will also fill that information in. Now, how is that going to look? You have your coverage information, and then underneath it, you have your deductibles, and we've included the deductibles that the carriers send over to us, as well as what Accord recognizes. So you have your annual hurricane, your base deductible named hurricane, theft, wind, and hail. You can choose whether it's a percentage or if it's a dollar amount, and then whether that's disappearing, flat, or graduated. Now, there are going to be moments when your carrier is going to send you a download with coverage information and deductibles where they won't specify what that deductible applies to. So in the case that that happens, where they tell us that the deductible comes for the dwelling coverage, in this notes column here, you're going to see that it's going to show an annual 2% deductible, and it'll say from dwelling, or from other structures, or from personal property. Downloads will specifically outline which coverage that deductible applies to. We've also changed the location schedule to look more like the commercial one, because prior to the 3.4 release, I believe you saw the city and the state and the county here. Now you can actually see the street address. This information, by the way, is mapped to your Accord Form 80. So if you have the deductible information here, we will map it to Accord Form 80 for you. We've also made changes to My Task. Some of you are going to love the task widget redesign, but some of you still work on tasks from the My Task page. So on the My Task page, you no longer need to click to view detail information. We show it to you by default, and you can easily mark tasks off as completed directly on the My Task page. So if it's completed, just click on Mark as completed, and you can continue to work through all of your tasks. Now, one of the questions I would get is, Dickinson, how can you email a certificate of insurance easily. We had in our context menu before, in the Accord tab, something that said send. We've since renamed that to show email instead of send. That way you can easily see how to email this form. And one of the things I need to mention is if you're going to send a certificate of insurance, or if you want to do the emailing multiple certificates or evidence of insurance at the same time, you do have to initiate that action from the Accord form. You can either do it from the Accord tab by selecting email, or if you're inside the form, if you're clicking to edit the form, within the form, if you click on the email action, you'll be able to email to multiple holders at the same time. If you don't do it through there and you just open up the quick send window, when you go to the Accord tab of the attachments, you're not going to see your certificates of insurance in there. Okay? So if you come to print email and you select quick send, and when those attachments load and you click on add attachment, when you go to the Accord tab, you're not going to see your certificates in there because we're not going to know that you want to send multiples at the same time. So make sure you initiate the action from the Accord form itself. Now, for those of you that wanted to set the avatar for your contact directly on the avatar itself, you can now do that. In this case here, I have an avatar for my contact. Before, you would have to go to the Files tab, and then you look for your image, and then you left-click on the image instead of the avatar. Well, now you can hover over the avatar and click on Change Image, and we're going to show you all the image files for that contact, and you can select which one you'd like to be the avatar. And that goes for any image file that you have on that contact. Now, we've made a couple of fixes concerning some errors that we were getting reported by our customers, including an Accord 25 error. It would throw an Ajax error telling you that QQ Solutions has been notified. We have fixed that error. You should no longer receive that error when doing your certificates of insurance. Your quick email error, where you would go to a file, and then from that file, you would try to launch the action to quick send. And when you open the quick send window, that file wasn't attached. That error has since been corrected. As you can see, there's the file attached. So you no longer have to worry about that happening to you. We were receiving errors concerning time zone offsets. We've released a fix for that as well. So you should see the correct time when you're uploading files, as well as sending emails or attaching Accord forms. For those of you that are doing Accord forms, another fix that we've done is if you go into an Accord form and you print it, the system was always using the date that the form was originally created. We've since updated that, so if you click to edit an Accord form, by default we're going to populate today's date to make sure that it has today's date on your issuance. So you no longer have to continually manually change the Accord form date. Accord 127 and 129, we have mapped over the vehicle code field into those Accord forms. So for those of you that were putting in a vehicle code on your commercial auto, that now goes over to your 127 and your 129 forms. Another enhancement that we've made is in the, or at least a bug fix, was on the commercial umbrella. And the commercial umbrella policy in the underlying coverages section. Let me go to that policy just to show you. In the underlying coverages section, you're able to import underlying coverage information, especially for your general liability, your commercial auto, your workers' comp. There was a bug where you couldn't import in the general liability, you couldn't import any business owners or BOP or any package policies including BOP. Now if you click to import, you'll see your business owners and your BOP policies included in the list. Actually, I'm in the underlying auto there, right here. You'll see your BOP and your business owners in the list now. There was a bug reported to us concerning policy numbers not being able to be changed. You can now modify a policy number. If you have the edit policy permission, you can now modify a policy number at any time. So even if the policy's been issued or a payment's been taken against the policy, you can always now modify the policy number. Another thing that we've done is we've modified our policy logic to allow you to issue a policy with the policy number still listed as pending. We do understand that some of you, you bind the policy, you don't know the policy number immediately, and so you ran reports on policy numbers with the policy number pending, so you remember to go back and add the correct policy number. You can now issue those policies with the policy number as pending. For those of you who have converted or migrated over to QQCatalyst, before you would take an action on a policy that was active but not issued, you always had to issue the policy first. We've now added logic to allow you to take the action on the policy, and we will issue the policy in the background. So you no longer have to go through the issue policy workflow to endorse the policy or take a payment or to edit the down payment. Now when you take the action, the system will automatically issue the policy for you. We've also made changes and fixes to our bridges. Two bridges in particular. The EasyLinks bridge, we had several reported bugs. We've since made fixes to those for you, so you should no longer experience any bugs when bridging to or from EasyLinks, as well as the FSC bridge. For those of you that were bridging from FSC, there were some reported errors. We've since fixed those bugs. We've worked with FSC to fix those, so you guys will no longer experience bugs on your FSC inbound bridges. We've updated Accord Form 80. We have the most updated Accord Form 80 attached for you now. So for those of you who needed that new Accord Form, it is now updated. And I'd like to show you guys a new feature, which we are going to be sending a blast email for when available. You're going to be looking forward to that either within the next week or the next couple of weeks. Is our new QQ Connect. For those of you who have Microsoft Outlook, you know that dragging and dropping emails from Outlook to Catalyst is a two-step process where you drag it over to the desktop, then you drag it from the desktop into the customer's file. We wanted to make it easier for you to drag and drop either files, PDFs especially with the customer's policy number, or to drag and drop an email into Catalyst. So we've built this new tool called QQ Connect, which can stay on your desktop hidden. As you can see there, it's transparent. When you hover over it, it is now available. You can take an email from Outlook and drag it into QQ Connect, and if there's a policy number on that email, whether in the body or if it's in the attachment or the subject for that customer, it can automatically attach to your customer contact in QQCatalyst. We've also enabled an ability to print to this print driver. This has a print driver that allows you to print to it now. So in the case that you're on a carrier's website, you'll be able to file and print on whatever page you're on. And so long as the customer's policy number is on that screen and it's printed to a PDF, we'll be able to automatically attach that to your customer contact as well. In fact, let me show you guys an example. All right, I have a sample policy here. It's a PDF and it has a policy number in it. I'm just going to drag it over to the QQ Connect. And we're going to do a search within QQCatalyst to find that policy. And if we found the policy, it'll automatically attach itself. It's found the customer. So let me just go ahead and do a search right now for that customer contact. And here it is, Crystal Clear Pool Services. And if I go to the Files tab, you're going to see what I just dragged and dropped is automatically attached to the customer's file because it had the policy number in it. Okay? This is something that we're going to be releasing within the next, either within the next week or within the next couple of weeks. We will be sending you an email blast, so you definitely want to watch out for a QQ Solutions email letting you know that it's available. This is going to be a feature available to all of our QMAX as well as our Plan 4 customers. It's automatically included in your subscription. And if you have a plan less than the QMAX or the Plan 4s, it is a feature that you're going to be able to add on if you'd like to easily drag and drop from Outlook, or if you'd like to print to the print driver, or if you want to drag and drop any PDFs that has the customer's policy number and have them automatically attached to the customer's file, that's going to be available to you within the next week or within the next couple of weeks. You definitely want to watch out for any emails that we send over to you. Okay, so now I'd like to answer any questions that you have on anything that I've gone over today, all of the new features and the enhancements that we've included in QQCatalyst version 3.4. We thank you all very much, by the way, for using the feedback tool. A lot of the enhancements that you've seen in this release are coming directly from your feedback. So we ask that you continue to send us your feedback. For those of you who have requested something in the feedback that hasn't been done as of yet, we go through every single item that's in the feedback, by the way. So some of the ones that I read say, hey, I'm sending this a third time just to make sure somebody caught it. We do receive your feedback items, and we'll send back notifications letting you know that we've received it. Some of the things that you've already been requesting are coming out, like in our May release. We have a lot of financial updates that we're going to be making, and a lot of them are coming from your feedback again. So continue to share your feedback with us. If we haven't gotten to it as of yet, if we're going to be having it coming out within the next couple of releases, we're going to go through our feedback, and we're going to send you notification to let you know if it's already going to be released, when we're anticipating having it released, or you'll see us send you communication asking you for more information if you're requesting a feature. But there are some times that we receive requests for features that will make things very easy for one agent, but make it very difficult for another agency. So just to let you know, there are some features that we won't be implementing. And we will send you an email letting you know that we either won't be implementing it, or it's a feature that would make it very complicated for other users that are using QQCatalyst to use. So there are some features that we won't be implementing, but we will be going back through the feedback folder, letting you know whether or not that item is already on our roadmap or on our backlog as something that we will be addressing. But I don't want you guys to be disheartened if you've submitted feedback and it hasn't been done. There are several things that we're going to be doing in these next couple of releases that is going to make it very easy for you not only to manage your agency, but as well as manage your employees, manage your tasks, and to just make it easier for you to get the daily jobs done. Just by simply doing this new task widget, it's going to make it much easier for you to work through your tasks throughout the day, as well as the emailing multiple certificates at once. I know how much of a painstaking process that was, and now you can do it within 3 clicks. You can have 400 certificates of insurance emailed, whereas before you would have to go through a long workflow and a long email process. So again, continue to send us your feedback. We appreciate all of the feedback that you guys have been giving us. It's done nothing but make QQCatalyst a much better agency management system. Now I'm going to put the contact information up one more time here before we leave. And for those of you with questions, I will be standing by to answer all of the questions in the question window. So if you've asked a question, I'm going to get to those right now. For those of you who don't have any additional questions for us, we thank you very much for being a QQCatalyst subscriber. QQCatalyst will continue to get better, and it's going to continue to make it easy for you to manage your agency. Continue to share your feedback with us. We appreciate you very much, and thank you very much for attending today's webinar.